Being a buffalo.
All right, we're ready to roll. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Cam Hall,
Here.
Bob Hutchison,
Here.
Janet McGregor Plar,
Here.
Moses is excused, Palmer,
Here.
Jamel is excused, Davis Pekulski,
Here.
Bob Reynolds,
Present.
Wentz Valentine.
Here.
And guests, we have Anna Maria Masucci, Heather Sidorowitz, and Jamie Decker. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And actually, we also have Mary on Zoom, David Chiazza from Iskolo Development. Can I please have a motion to open the October 19th, 2022 Hamburg, New York IDA Board of Directors meeting at 7:32 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, the first item on our agenda are the minutes from September 21st, 2022.
Motion to accept.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are carried. Next item is the financial report from September 30th, 2022.
Good morning, everybody. Let me start this the right way. Okay, so I got a kind of a lengthy report. I'm gonna do just a year to date update too, a little bit on the agency. And got another piece of business after we approve this that I want to talk about on interest, better interest and better place for our money. First off, in September 30th, we had a total income of $137,833.98. Much of that was due to the administrative fees of closing one of our projects. The expenses, our normal expenses with payroll was $11,840.26. But our total expenses for the month was $12,156.10. So we had total income over expenses of $125,677.88, which got us to a grand total of, let's get the page, excuse me, $1,087,743.80 for September 30th. On the year end, I just want to go over this year end. So for the year to date, we made gross income of $153,364.25 the year to date. So that's January to September. Our expenses year to date is $130,635.56. And we had total income over expenses of $22,728.69. The reason I want to bring that out is right now we're within our budget plus a little bit on our budget we set up last year. So what we have the month of October, November, and December to go still. So I just want to make sure everybody sees we're kind of on budget. So with that, I'd like the motion to approve the financial statement.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Cam. Any questions?
Do we foresee any big expenses coming up in the last couple of months here?
No foreseeable expenses. We do, we're working on closings. It's just jumping ahead a little bit, but Johnson's Tap House. We're projecting, fingers crossed, to close that in 2022 in November. So that will really keep us on target and in the black. And then we have two additional projects that we have not gotten great response from. So if I'm betting, it'll be first quarter 2023 for those projects. Wentz, you had a question?
Yeah, so Bob, when you're reading this report,
Yes.
you're reading under the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, right?
Yeah,
And then
idea. Yeah.
where did you skip around to get the $1 million?
It's on the second page of the report there. That's our total.
First page, really.
Well, it's the first page you, I do.
He reads it backwards.
I read it backwards because the real report's on the second page.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
I got
see it? coming down. So that's our ID, that's all our checking accounts, our cash accounts.
I see it now, I just,
My pop.
thought I was missing the big. Alright.
Did you have a comment on interest?
That's what I want to do it once it's approved.
Okay, okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, financial report is carried. Thank you.
Okay, so the second part of my report is that Mary especially has been working on getting better interest in our accounts. So right now, we've been looking at an account that a balance between 100 and 500,000. The current rate is 0.228 with a yield of 2.77. If we go to a money market account, we would get a higher yield, or it's not a money market account, but it's a public savings account. So we're trying to set this up for the Land Development Corporation as well as the IDA. I guess, hey, Mary, do you want to explain this a little bit more, how we want to move the money around, if you don't
It
mind?
was just putting the IPA savings account into a different account, so land development already gets the good interest rate.
Right.
When it was set up, I was. You know why, they were in two different accounts, two different, one was
Okay.
Yeah.
savings, one wasn't, I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, the best I understand, it just seems like a new product
Yeah.
that Bank on Buffalo is offering. And it was 75 basis
Right.
points higher interest
Okay.
APR, so basis points, so.
Yeah.
I
wish there-
Not too lucrative. Well, I mean, it more than doubles, the amount of projected interest, so.
This
the
is,
rates are
this
still
is just
low.
a straight savings account, it's not
Yeah.
the.
No certificate
of
of deposit,
no,
no,
it's
sir.
It's like a money market account to me, that's right.
And it is collateralized, which we are required to do, so that, because it's got to be treated as a municipal account.
So I just wanted the board to see that Mary and Sean have done a lot of work on this, and I gave the approval to move money over to this better account and stuff like this, just for the IDA. We already had stuff in the land development, okay? All right, that's just
I would suggest that the board have a motion to approve.
Yeah,
okay.
I make that motion. Make that motion.
Thank you, Wentz.
Second.
Thank you, Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Here, good idea, John. We are moving money.
And we do have an audit committee meeting after this meeting, so you're welcome to stick around for that if you'd like. On to my updates for October. No project closings, as we talked about. Mary did invoice Ford for sales tax exempt purchases in 2021. Typically that happens September or October of the following year. We have Francesca Bond with the Sun News joining us. Johnson's Brew House, as Jennifer mentioned. The remaining ones are KH Industries, Staub Precision Machine, those two projects. And then in addition, 290 Lake Street, but 290 Lake Street, I don't know where that project is going. We're just kind of monitoring.
deadlines coming up for that?
So, yeah, there are deadlines coming up, and I've been connecting with there's a new prospective purchaser, my understanding is, so I'm working with them to just understand the process of IDAs and the requirements, so
Okay.
we'll see where that goes.
They have to go
Welcome,
back to the
Jamal.
entire planning process with the village at this point.
I don't know if they've made an appeal for an extension, yeah. No, they haven't because of, the meeting then, so. Yeah, welcome, Jamal.
All right, guys.
Okay, project activity, on a multifamily reuse project. The one on South Park at Souls. I had a good meeting. I coordinated a meeting with a local medical provider and the developer. We had a good meeting. Seems like there might be some opportunity there, so the developer is pursuing that. I have a new project for a production expansion project. And then skipping down, because some of these were covered previously, for the CARES grants, we finally got to the goal line there. We have 2 new projects approved. So those monies are granted. We have an extension on the CARES program, and it's more so for administrative purposes. So till we essentially make the financial distributions to the grantees. So that will ideally wrap up January 31st, 2023. I had a meeting with the town supervisor. We're going to have likely in December, carry on the town board agenda, some recognition for the town support of that project and the grantees. We're going to invite the grantees to publicize the success of that program. Advocacy and legislation. For the Blaisdell DRI, Blaisdell had applied for a $10 million Restore New York grant, and we did a presentation at Empire State Development. Janet and Andy Palmer were there. I thought it was a great presentation. Now we wait and hear back from the state to see what the status is. But I think it was a great plan and great project, and I certainly think Blaisdell would be transformed if they would receive that grant. Talked about the CARES wrap up. I did do an interview with WBEN prior to the Southtown's transformation event, which was this past month. It went well. They certainly had a lot of questions on Amazon, but it was altogether positive. And at that event, I did run into the real estate broker that works for Amazon, and all intents are spring of 2023 to begin fitting up the space. So everything sounds positive. Fingers crossed on Amazon occupying that space as they committed to. See any other HDC, the Johnson's loan for Johnson's Tap House, that's scheduled to close for the HDC this Friday. So that's exciting. And then I did have a meeting where I linked Hilbert up, speaking of Amazon again, they have a program for their employees. It's called Career Choice, and they actually fund higher education for their employees. And it's the institutions have to be approved into the program. So we met with Hilbert and Amazon to begin Hilbert into the application process. So Hilbert ideally would be one of those colleges, and it would, hopefully bolster the level of employees in the town and for Amazon, and then also bolster enrollment at the college. Any questions?
Can you comment on the relationship with Hilbert as it pertains to pitch?
Sure. Hilbert, as it relates to pitch, there's no formal relationship. The director and I had a meeting with Hilbert, potential use for their space. Like we will have an event that Anna can talk to. So we would, be interested in potentially using their auditorium, and then also linking up. So the conversation has just started, but linking up faculty for startup support. So the Hilbert business faculty, doing mentor work and the likes of that. And then also promoting the program to their students. So that this year it didn't really happen, but as the enrollment, the application process is open for Pitch Hamburg, we would like to be able to, have some mechanism to fan out notification to the students at the college. So if they have, an opportunity to apply, if they have, a product or an idea. Cool. Thanks. Okay. Next item on the agenda under new business is Iskolo 17 Long extension. David Chiazza is here with Iskolo. He had submitted a letter to the IDA seeking an extension on September 22nd. This is an extension for the sales tax exemption. If you've noticed the site, it is currently under construction. Renovation of the building shell, it's active construction right now. At that time, it was 35% complete. David had mentioned that he expects the remainder of the building shell renovation to be completed within the next 6 months and likely work completed into next spring. There will be additional tenant interior related build out to be completed in 2023. So at this time, in line with our kind of standard process, Iskolo is seeking a 6-month extension. So I'll go through the resolution and open up for questions. And as I had mentioned, David is here if you have any questions for the developer. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency extending the sales tax period for Iskolo 17 Long until March 22nd, 2023. where Iskolo 17 Long LLC has entered into negotiations with the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency with respect to the adaptive reuse and renovation of a 28,890 square foot former grocery store for ambulatory health services at 17 Long in the village of Hamburg, for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee. Whereas there has been a delay in constructing and equipping the project due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and now therefore be it resolved by the agency as follows. The agency does hereby extend the sales tax period of the lessee from September 22nd, 2022 to March 22nd, 2023, and waives the extension fee. This resolution shall take effect immediately. So move.
So moved.
Thank you, Janet.
Second.
Thank you, Andy. Any questions for David?
Is this the first extension we're doing for them?
David, the question was, is this the first extension, of which it is?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so they're reading through this and the thing before it, they're looking at possibly coming back for one more extension,
Potentially.
potentially.
Yeah. That's correct, David?
That's correct. We expect to finish the construction of the building shell, the renovation of the building shell within the next 6 months. There'll be some work that will carry into the spring, and then there'll be some tenant improvement work as well, probably in 2023.
Okay, so I'm just trying to line this up. So we would do one more extension without our fee going forward. And after that, there's an understanding that if you have to have an extension after that, you would have to start paying the fees.
So following September, do you think you'd be wrapped up in September of 2023, David?
We would hope to be. Some of that's subject to identifying tenants, but we understand if we could get an extension under the current fee arrangement until September of 23, we understand we have to pay a fee thereafter.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, David.
Thank you, board. Thank you, Sean.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, I didn't here on my notes, is a project extension for KCE NY 6 LLC. This is Key Capture Energy Project, the battery storage facility here in Blaisdell. Resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, extending the sales tax period for KCE NY 6 LLC until April 10th, 2023. Whereas the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, by resolution adopted on September 10th, 2021, induced KCE 6 NY LLC with respect to the construction and installation of the 20 megawatt utility servicing battery energy storage facility for warehouse wholesale electric markets at 2026 Electric Avenue in the village of Blaisdell. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, mandated construction shutdown and the supply chain delays, lessee has been unable to complete the project within the time frame originally anticipated, and has requested that the time period for completion be extended for 6 months. And whereas the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency approved a temporary policy waiving extension fees on May 25th to lessen the economic burden. Now therefore be it resolved by the agency as follows. We hereby extend the sales tax period for the lessee from September 10th, 2022 until April 10th, 2023, and waive the extension fee. So moved.
So I got a question.
Sure. Second,
I'll second.
thank you, Bob Reynolds. On a question, Wayne.
I thought it was 6 months. Is that longer than 6 months? Because the other one was
September, so it's based on their project timeline, so let me just look at this. September, October, November, December, January, February, it should be March 10th. So we're gonna change the resolution. Sales tax period for the lessee from September 10th, 2022 to March 10th, 2023. Thank you, Wayne.
Is this their second one too?
This is their first extension, and the project has closed, similar to Iskolo, but the project has closed, and they anticipate this being their only extension. They anticipate being done by March.
Okay. So this is their first extension.
First extension. Okay. Yes, Andy.
Just watching the construction process, they certainly are not dragging their feet.
Good.
I mean, I live right around here, you can tell they're going at it, it's not like they're just milking it, so.
Good.
I am for this resolution.
Any other questions? All in favor extending till March 10th, 2023?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is Pitch Hamburg. I would like to do or introduce the director and members of the board of Pitch Hamburg. If you can introduce yourself and talk about your the letter you had submitted, please.
Hi, I'm Anna Ray Masucci. I've been here a few times now, so familiar with Faith. I'm the executive director of Pitch Hamburg. My name is Heather Storitz. I'm president and owner of Southtown Audio Video and also board member over at Pitch. Been involved in the project for, well, since it began. So it's very exciting to have come this far and have an actual physical space and actual physical people. Where this was just an idea a few years ago. So thank you for receiving this.
I am Jamie Decker. I'm currently the interim executive director for the Southtown Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a board member on Pitch Hamburg, and like Heather, I've been with Pitch kind of all along the process. And it's exciting to see it grow and we're at this stage. So looking forward to the future.
Regarding the letter that we have submitted to the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency. We are seeking funding. So currently we are funded by the town of Hamburg, ARPA funds. We have completed our first application process. We received 20 applications for new businesses. We are now working on bringing that down to 6 companies that will come into the office space at 40 Main Street in the village of Hamburg in November. We will then begin our 6-month mentorship and program with these businesses to help them grow their businesses. In the spring, as Sean discussed earlier, we are looking to have a big pitch event where then those 6 businesses will be able to pitch their new businesses to the community, to funders, to anyone who is in the crowd. It's a really great marketing tool for them as well. And we are working with Hilbert to possibly have that either right on in their theater or else with the school system. So it's very important for us to include education in this. So either the Hamburg Central School District or through Hilbert College.
In your application, Anna, you had asked for support investment of $50,000 annually through a 4-year commitment, totaling $200,000 in founder level support. Can you talk to your annual budget and your efforts to date in seeking funding to support your budget?
So we have attempted to apply for ESD funding, but because we are a young incubator, we are not able to apply until we've been in business for 3 years. So at this point, it's only been a few months for us. So we are kind of blocked there to be able to apply for state funding. We are also in the process of approaching different local banks as well to, I've had multiple conversations with the banks about what they are looking for, and many of them have matching grants. So in order for them to match anything, we need some kind of income in return. The funding that we are looking at will provide the programming for these new businesses, as well as moving forward, looking for programming to support existing businesses as well within the village and within the town and the village of Blaisdell. That funding will also provide some assistance for me. So we are looking to provide more jobs within the pitch programming. So whatever kind of support staff that we can get, if that's an administrative assistant or a full-time program coordinator as well.
Great. Last question for me. Can you talk about the financial support or in-kind support provided by your board of directors?
Yes, all of the board members have given in-kind support. Heather is a great example. She has supplied all of the technology for the incubator space. And she can speak to that more, I'm sure. And every board member has provided some kind of monetary or in-kind support.
Thank you.
What we did was a video conference setup, because obviously we know it's a hybrid world and will continue to be so.
So we have a video conference set up in the smaller space. We have music set up in the larger space, so for both events and also just if anyone's ever been in their space with music, it's just a better day. And interactive touchscreen as well to allow for presentation set up for that space as well. So there's a backup computer to that and some great stuff.
And this has also allowed us to have other people come in to utilize the space in the meantime. While we're waiting for these 6 companies to come in, we've had the marketing team from 43 North come in and use the meeting space, use the technology. We had Favor drop in utilizing all the technology in the space as well. So it's nice to have it be utilized even though we don't have the new business. yet.
Yes.
You want to go first?
As finance chairman of this board, I've looked this all over and everything like this, and I'm gonna give you my opinion as finance chairman up here. I don't see us locking in. I'm as finance chairman of a 4-year agreement of so much money per year, because we do an annual budget based on what our projects are going forward. And obviously, I gave a year-end report showing where we stood at the end of this year, and there only $12,000 has been allocated between the chamber and pitch right now, and our current budget system coming up this year, in this year's budget, just so everybody knows. So my recommendation as a financial secretary is that we can get involved in this, we should get involved in this, but I don't think that we need a commitment of 4 years, because I'm trying to maintain our income can go down and up and yearly basis and everything else out there. So I think the board should take it serious, but I also think that we ought to watch locking into a long-term agreement going forward.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask that today we table this pending getting some further information, such as, we do not have a copy of the annual operating budget for Pitch Hamper. Quite frankly, I don't remember how much they got in ARPA funds. I want to say it was 200,000 to begin. My memory may serve me wrong. With the board of directors on the website's got basic information. And if you look at the website, you know, they're looking for naming of building rights, $20,000 for a building that isn't owned by Pitch. There's no description of how long board members serve. There is a mission statement. But there's a lot of, it's a new startup. And we need more information to make a contribution of $200,000 or a commitment of $200,000 without even seeing an annual operating budget. Is it an absolute no for me?
Would you, in terms of board information, would it be helpful if,
How did the board come about? How long is their term? Are there term limits? Who appoints them? I mean,
The bylaws.
where are the bylaws for the
Okay.
organization and for the board?
and would it be helpful if there was like resumes for the board in terms of like seeking more information
Yeah,
about
I
the
mean,
makeup?
they're all wonderful members of the
Okay.
community,
But just
but
like
there are
more of
no
the bylaws.
bylaws.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Okay,
and so even with even with the annual budget, who's the treasurer? Who's the audit committee? Where are the checks and balances? How are expenditures approved or disapproved? I mean, there's gotta be a format in place.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have any
The
questions
solution
to that,
is-
Anna?
If they dissolve the board
If
or
there's a
dissolve this, what
dissolution of
happens with the
Pitch, what happens to the
financial
funds?
assets?
Mm. Okay, Jennifer?
Just one comment, the board, as they consider doing this, please make sure that this is in line with the mission statement. And remember the state law prohibition on your supporting retail projects.
It's actually, I don't know, is this something we go on an executive session or is this, right?
No.
I don't wanna offend anybody, for me, I just wanna make sure that, like you said, we're doing everything legally, right, number one. Number two, my question is, have we done this in the past? I don't know, do I think it's great? Yeah, I think you guys do great work, we were there, I mean, it looks beautiful there, but for me, I mean, someone, coming from the UAW, coming from, what we just went through in Hamburg, I wanna make sure that everything is legally right, and that if my name's on something, that everything, like you're saying, everything's accounted for.
And are we gifting public funds?
Mhm.
I want to go back to Jennifer's point here. Can you maybe expand that retail?
As,
I mean, are we,
as you know, when an IDA
Right.
receives an application, it has to be for back office, for manufacturing, or warehousing. If a component of that project has any retail, we have to take great pains to make sure it's less than 30.
Correct.
1/3, 33% of the project cost. So IDAs are not allowed to support straight retail operations.
So, but how do you look at
This isn't our,
typical?
like, this isn't,
Not
we're not using our tools to fund this, we're using our bankroll, right? So are you suggesting then that doing that means we have to be consistent with that, such that we would
Yes.
put that same restriction on?
Exactly what I'm
Mitch?
saying. IDAs are meant to support more industrial, commercial warehousing, not retail operations.
Andy has.
If you don't mind.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I mean, on that logic, I mean, then the $1 million that's in a bank account with Bank on Buffalo, which is purely a retail operation, shouldn't be there.
Well, but you need to keep your money somewhere, and there's laws that say where you have. to-
Exactly, it's an investment, right?
But you are spending taxpayer, tax money.
I'm not trying to disagree, with you. I have high respect and I think I've proven that, but I don't see the disconnect. I see a disconnect here between, we have millions of dollars literally in a bank account and we can't invest in a public entity that might have retail when Bank on Buffalo is purely a retail operation.
But the difference is, we are being stewards of our funds. We are being stewards of the taxpayer money. And it's in our fiduciary responsibilities to make our money grow. That's, I mean, we could just put it in a zero investment and, I mean, part of my
I got a
job in the
mattress, so I'll put
village.
it in.
And part of my job in the village is to make our money stretch as far as it can
Sure.
by having it invested in accounts that are interest bearing. Because that reduces the tax burden.
I'm glad you brought that up. So I looked at that, let's call it the interest that we're getting right now is what point? For IDA stuff.
With the,
Sure,
was
the new
it,
one. We'll go the best case scenario.
it's 1.75.
Okay, 1.75.
Oh, well, maybe on the CD now too. The CD was fairly low because it was, kind of at that time when all the rates were so low.
I would just say that, I mean, this investment, it's big and we need to be responsible. And I think there's some questions that need to be answered in regards to that. But I would say that we put 25% of our net cash value into a bank account that is going to have low yield and very low risk, mind you, right? It's very low risk. But as Sean mentioned, the DRI, Jan and I went to, and we're trying to convince people to invest in Blaisdell. Well, guess what? Blaisdell is not a low risk investment. I'm asking the state to put $10 million in the village of Blaisdell. How am I not going to see the value of only 6% of our net cash value? That's total over the 4 years into an organization that, although questions need to be answered, it's Hamburg centric. It's not a county-wide thing. It's looking to, if they're not residents, make them residents by bringing them down into the heart of the village of Hamburg and have them work in that facility. And also, like, we have a very weird time right now in our nation's history where the inflation is a 40-year high and interest rates are 30-year high. So, I mean, I'm not by any means the smartest person in this room, but I can churn a dollar. Okay, and when that happens, that crunch, and a couple months down the line, people are gonna look for funding for help in other ways, because they can't afford a bank at 8% interest. You know what I mean? I think this is an opportune time to invest in something like this. Do questions need to be answered? Yes, we are a public entity and we need to answer that. And we might make sure we're legal, 100%.
Just a little more.
Well, and I didn't say no. I said, I think we need to table this
Right,
and get everybody's questions answered. I mean, I personally, I'm not going to invest in something that I don't know where they're
No, I
going, what the
understand, sure.
bylaws are, what they're, I wouldn't invest in a company not knowing the annual operating budget of that company.
Bob,
Well, I want to go back to that retail. How do you see pitch being like a retail versus the warehouse and industrial? Because I think that's the part I'm having a hard time wrapping myself with. Is it the companies that would come into pitch?
Correct.
They may be a retail, I mean, like, it was a software developer that was in there, correct?
Favorite wrong one.
How would, that would be more of a, that wouldn't really be a retail, right?
Right, if they're developing software, back office. like,
Right,
That kind of. support.
but if they brought somebody in that was gonna do a startup jewelry store, let's say.
Right, that's more, and I don't know that they can even predict who's going to come to them.
Right.
It's had
How do
to
you-
come
yeah,
to
so
them
how do we-
on it, Right.
It would be difficult to parse out our funds
People
were
try-
being used, would that, would still be considered retail? The retail and industrial would still come into effect there, even though we're just kind of giving funds or funding another organization?
Specify what your funds can be used. For
I think,
example, your funds cannot pay salaries for another group. No way. But if it's going to be used for education or
So we
things
have
like
to be
that.
or a program of training, or
All right,
Right,
like we have, I mean, we can't just write a check for $200,000. Or $50,000 a year and say, have at it. I mean. If you look at the activities on the website and the different funding levels and what those things are for. If, in fact, we were to do something, it would have to have a specific purpose attached to it. It can't just be, here you go, carte blanche.
exactly.
I mean, you're dealing with public funds. When you're dealing with public funds, the rules are completely different. We cannot gift public funds. So we have to dot our i's and cross our t's and gather information. And make sure what we're doing, when we come in and get audited, we're not getting,
yeah.
well, we'd have to have
Ahead.
accounting from pitch too, as to how they use their funds, I will.
we would need an accounting, absolutely.
Like a grant.
Yeah.
Subscription.
So can I ask, and just familiarize me, Sean, so the HDC funding comes from community development block grants, or how? That's how the HDC, because we have three entities, we have the IDA, we have the LDC, and Sean oversees the HDC. And the HDC does loans to local businesses that have completely different guidelines than an IDA project. So that HDC is funded by CDBG money.
no, well, it's HUD money. It's essentially restricted funds. The owner of those funds is HUD.
Okay.
We get an access agreement that allows us to use this revolving, it operates as a revolving loan account. So those funds we're a custodian, if that makes sense. So I can use these funds and I can provide grants, and then I have, covenants that these grants need to be repaid.
But that's not directly through HUD, does that come through Hamburg Community Development
Yes,
Block Grant
yes.
Funds through HUD?
But they're not block grant funds.
I know, but
Yeah,
Chris handles all the HUD stuff.
yeah. I cannot use, like, where he can do public projects or,
Exactly.
ADA improvements, that these funds are strictly with the purpose of the loan fund.
So, and it's pushes on because applications are due October 21st, which is Friday, for community development block grant stuff. Is there an avenue for Pitch to approach CDBG for funding through HUD funds?
There could be potential. Yeah, I mean,
And I mean that, but once again, applications are due this Friday.
yeah. Bob, you had a question?
Yeah, I got just a couple quick comments, and I've been giving this a lot of thought too, since we presented to the executive board. First of all, you don't remember, you young kids, back when interest rates was 21% and everything else went back with the old Reagan era, so take it easy, relax.
Well, you have to throw Reagan on the box. What's going on?
Interest rates, Jimmy Carter was so better. Interest rates, by the way, should have been going up instead of 0% in our prime time, but we didn't go there, so I'll just put that up. The second thing is that I was looking at this and trying to figure a way that maybe we can get into this with our budget and everything, and next year. And one of the areas that I kind of looked at was this $5,000 that the winner gets. There might be a way that we can take a look at putting money up as a sponsorship for winners of a program that, you know, that we could put money and look at it that way to get around retail a little bit and everything out there. But we would have to really be careful on this, because I'm with you, Jen.
That's right. How do you know who the winners?
Yeah, we don't know who the winners are, but we do sponsorships. So it's like a sponsorship of a contest or something like this that would using public money. So, because I was trying to think along that line too, because I know we are very responsible, being a former legislator. There's a lot of money out there. I mean, I make grants as a legislator. We used to make grants to programs. And it have to come in something like a grant or something like this if you're spending taxpayer money, and you have to have a specific purpose for that grant and where that grant money is going. So those are things that, as Janet well knows, you have to really watch and dot that I's and cross those T's on where that money is heading out. And if we are interested in doing this, and I agree with the table, then it has to become part of our process next year for the 2023 budget process, that we at least allocate some money into our funding to see where that takes us going forward, so I can make sure that we stay in our line as best as possible.
I think that complicate things, but
Really? Doesn't it?
But here, I'll throw an idea out. I know everybody's behind Pitch. I think it's a good idea. And since there are some restrictions or hurdles we have to get over, what if Pitch came to us and said, we need X amount of dollars to do a particular project? And then we can talk about that particular project.
I'm on their
you know,
website right now. And
And,
there's
you know-
opportunities for us to participate in sponsorship for specific programming.
Tell us what it's gonna, tell us what it's gonna be and how the funds are gonna be used, and then we can make a decision as to how much and. If we can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I think on programming, we're much safer. Because if it's a program that's offered to many individuals or potential businesses,
So like,
we're better served to sponsor a program than to commit an annual amount to just, here you go. It's gotta be very specific.
It works better because it's
make
more flexible for our income and our financial position. And we can then follow where the funds are going much easier and much easier for them to account for it. And if it's something like educational, we can do some educational without any issue, correct?
Absolutely.
So,
on that line, would a mentorship be counted as educational?
Sure.
So that might be something helpful to point out. I've read through that letter that you sent, and mentorship is a big deal for the winners, way I understand it. The other thing is, as far as the winners, that we could make a manufacturing category.
But
Just
what if no
manufacturers.
manufacturers apply?
Yeah, no retail, but
Give the money
great
to-
ideas here. I'm so happy we're talking about it, honestly. And as far as this, yeah, but I'm sorry, but New York State, the way they've done business is we're broke. And we need to have different ways of doing things here, and 43 North has proven it. Yeah, just in
You
case you
haven't
didn't know.
traveled the country lately, have you?
Yeah, oh yeah, a lot. And the world. But anyway, so I would just encourage us to look at this very serious. I agree in the tabling, but we can't keep doing things like we've been doing in New
No,
York
I
State.
think we need to table, I think.
Yeah,
we
but this
need
is
to-
Hamburg, this ain't New York State, bro.
Which is part of New York State.
You guys both agree. Let's handle the business we gotta handle, all right? I make a motion, we table this the next week.
Okay, can I get one more question, one more comment in
Go ahead.
before, just because I think it'll
Motion's
help.
on the floor, but you know, Robert's rules of order, but yeah. go ahead.
Second.
All right,
I second, now you can talk on the
Well,
motion.
It's not debatable, a motion to table is not,
Right.
but I would give Sean the.
Yeah.
thank you guys. You know, my comment is, I think, is more on the information side. I'm interested in the outputs, okay? So we have monies to invest in economic development and job creation in line with general municipal law. I see upside in terms of investing in startups and supporting startups, particularly ones that will suit the town of Hamburg. And I see as an economic development tool. I think our agency has become a lot more dynamic in terms of what we do. I don't like, and I think that, you know, if I'm a leader in economic development, you know, we have to be more dynamic than following, you know, we have to be more diverse than just pilot activity. The CARES grant activity, once that rolls out, you'll see there's economic spin-up, there's job creation, there's collateral investment to that. We could sit back on our heels. We do very well in project fees and in generating project fees. We can be successful as an agency, but we can also do more. And that's where I think that we, as you know, in terms of statewide, as the town of Hamburg, which is a bug on a windshield compared to New York State, we do a lot more and we're a lot more dynamic than some of the leading and the larger economic development agencies. We're very responsible with funds. We keep our books clean. Thank you, Mary. We have great legal advice and we adhere to the state laws. But, you know, if this state needs to survive, they cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. We have to shift, we have to diversify, and we have to capitalize on opportunities presented to us. But with that, this is a lot of money. And I would like to see Pitch come back with what those outputs are. Like Andy had mentioned, turning $1. If we're investing X amount of dollars into Pitch Hamburg, what is that investment going to result in terms of job creation, investment in the town, and investment in our tax base and on the businesses in line with our industrial development. So that's it.
Wes, would you just not table it to next meeting? Could we table it and refer it to committee? And the executive committee could maybe send out a survey to the board with the questions that they need
I'm
answered.
gonna rescind my motion,
Second, we rescind.
and then you make that.
Motion to table and refer to committee for further review.
You guys gotta know
Like, you know, who's actually-
We'll
Okay,
refer to the
So,
executive committee.
that was
second that motion. Jan.
presented by Janet, second by Bob, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you guys for coming. We'll be in touch.
One last comment, Fit,
What? Robert's rule?
and it's not directed in.
I-
If you sat down with our county legislator, you should, it's budget season right now, they do allocate money around, it's a little bit different for them to allocate money around, but it is budget season. So you should be sitting down with your county legislator right now and see if there's something that they might be able to help you with.
Thank you very
It
much.
wouldn't be a bad idea,
And
and they
I
have a
would-
$2 billion budget.
I would encourage. the
Community
two of
development.
you To sit with Chris today
Okay, those two
and
areas.
see if it's eligible to do a project through the HUD funds. And then through Friday.
Sounds good. All right.
As
Thank you,
Mark is
guys.
worse than his wife.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Just smile at him, that's what I.
Is that all you do?
Okay.
Just smile.
Reagan, come on, man. That was awesome.
You forget it, brother. I was there. 21% on a house. No jobs. You have no clue. This is nothing. There's a ton of jobs. I just traveled this whole country off the record, on the
You're
record,
gonna
whatever.
record it, yeah.
Well, you're
I
on
went,
record.
I went all the way to Colorado, right? And then yesterday, I went to Kansas City. There are so many trucks on the road. There's so much traffic on the road. There's so much hiring going on in this country. You can't, everybody is looking for people. They have bulldoors out in the Midwest. Come work for us. We need skilled. We need this. I swear, all the way up to $25 an hour starting, $100,000. They can't find people. That's the difference between what happened back then and what's going on now. You can't find people. And that's why we're here.
There you go.
I'm just gonna let that softball go by.
Privilege of the floor.
I was underprivileged of the floor.
All right, executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, Janet. Second.
Issue with the pilot and the, isn't a
Second.
memo from the assessor about.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to address. You know what? Let's table, I'll get back, I'll do that in my director report next month. I'll talk to that. So do we have a second, Mary? Thank you,
Once
Jamal.
good.
All in favor? Opposed? Adjourned? No, I was racking my brain. I'm like, there's something I needed in executive or in
Right.
my executive director report. So I'll table that. Bring that up.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
You're seeing who's left.
And it's state law, so we're operating, so.
where it's, you can't start, you.
Stop it.